Hello, I'm Brien Lundin, editor and publisher of Gold Newsletter, and I am here at the Toronto Metals Investor Forum. I have the great pleasure today to talk with a longtime friend of mine, Peter Akerley of Erdene Resource Development Corp. This is a company I've recommended for a while in Gold Newsletter, and I originally recommended the company because you had a little bit of an exploration component, but we're developing a mine in Mongolia, so we had that backstop of upcoming production. But the exploration story has really taken on a whole new level recently, hasn't it? Just
Sure has.
absolutely world-class high-grade drill results.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Brian. When you step back 2 years ago when we first met, I guess back just about the time that COVID first hit us,
Yeah.
we were delivering a feasibility study on that initial development at Bayan Khundii.
Yeah.
High grade, open pit, great economics. And we knew at that time we were onto something special. High grade, open pitable deposits in the
3 to
southern
4
part of the
times the average grade of a open pit.
Absolutely, yeah. We're looking at a 3.7 gram head grade on that
Wow.
initial development. So we had a lot of support funding that. We were moving through the permitting phase. COVID hit and slowed down that development profile to some extent. But we began our exploration more in earnest in the middle part of 2020 when we had Eric Sprott come in and invest
Yeah.
15 million of a $20 million financing. And that really gave us the wherewithal for the first time in our existence in that part of the world to be aggressive on our exploration. We'd found things and we'd gone ahead and drilled those off and moved through the de-risking process, but we hadn't really stretched our arms out into what we felt was potentially a multi-million ounce district. In the early part of last year, we hit a new zone, an oxide zone we call Dark Horse. Our first hole in that, 10 meters below surface, was 45 meters of 6 grams of gold.
Yeah.
Just exceptional. And we followed that up 6 months later with a discovery we call Ulan, just half a kilometer from the planned pit. And that hit, I think it was 179 meters of over a gram of gold with a 40-meter intersection of 3.5 grams. So here in a very short period of time, we all of a sudden had 3 discoveries within 2.5 kilometers of one another. And 16 kilometers north, we'd already established 500,000 ounces at Altanar. So it's really gotten some heft behind it now to justify or to support our prediction that this will be a multi-million ounce system, which sort of backstops or now supports a much larger operation going to an expansion in the future.
Yeah, so it all supports a mine plan that's already in place and already in development. Now, one of the things that really strikes me is that you've got these various discoveries here, there, everywhere. It just seems to me as a onlooker that wherever you're looking, you're finding just world-class, very high-grade gold. But what's important to understand is that there are actual trends developing here.
Absolutely.
So that when you're finding a 300 meters of really high-grade gold, and then a kilometer away, you're finding similar mineralization and you're getting surface expressions along the way. That's when your eyes really start to light up and you really look at the ultimate potential of this as potentially multi-million ounces of world-class grades.
Absolutely. We have one of the world's top epithermal scientists working with us, Dr. Jeffrey Hedenquist. And, we're looking at the information coming out of these discoveries, and we're all confident now that at Bayan Khundii, this is just one big system. We're tracing mineralization alteration along a 9-kilometer structure within a system that's 10 kilometers by 6 kilometers. And we really haven't done much deep drilling yet. At Ulan, the first time we drilled sort of more than 250 meters, we're bottoming in mineralization with up to 20 grams per ton over 2 meters. 300-meter sections of over a gram of gold. It's just an exceptionally rich, very robust system in terms of the fluids moving through it. I've been a geologist for 35 years and seen a lot of the best districts in the world. And I can't see I've seen this kind of fertility and just how prolific the fluids are, gold-bearing fluids running through this system. It's exciting.
Well, I hope you will be spending probably, unless the company gets bought out, a lot more time on this. You'll be spoiled for life as a geologist with the grades the grades you're getting there. I think one other aspect about the company that's interesting is you're really hitting your stride right now because there was obviously a worldwide pandemic, and Mongolia was very careful being in kind of an isolated country with that. So that really slowed you down.
It did, yeah.
And now we're seeing drill results coming out with great regularity I think without exception, extraordinary results almost every news release. Tell us a little bit about what's coming up and the rapidity of the work that's going on right now.
Sure. Yeah. So it is a two-pronged approach currently. We have been drilling at Erdene where we're continuing to expand the high-grade feeder as well as some of the low-grade halo around that. So you'll see more results on that in the coming weeks. When we made the discovery of the oxide zone at Dark Horse, we recognized prospectivity for oxide blankets in the area. So we immediately shifted into bringing in an RC rig, and we started that about a month ago. We already have 200 holes now into various targets for oxide prospectivity. Those results will start to not only come into the market, but will feed our exploration plans moving forward. We'll follow up on those areas with diamond drilling. So over the span of the next 6 months, we'll be drilling at Ulan, Dark Horse, Altanar, as well as following up on those RC targets. So a tremendous amount of drill results to come out over the course of the summer to move us towards that 2 million ounce target that we've established. Alongside of that, we're continuing to move forward with the early works, the pre-construction work. So we put in place the communication towers, the dust monitoring systems. We've expanded the camp. We're working on the bore field. And as we move through this year, we'll continue to start to do some of the bulk earthworks, doing the road works, the site leveling plans. At this point, we can see an expansion of the current production from 65,000 perhaps up into that 75 to 80. We feel like the plant footprint can probably allow us to get to close to 100 if we bring some of that high-grade material in. But we are now facing this dilemma of already having enough to do an expansion almost as we speak.
Right.
So working through that kind of dynamic as well, but it's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem. Do you want to expand now and delay, or do you want to go into production and get the revenue? We're talking about pretty significant revenues, though, projected for an operation even at these levels.
You know, it's been a moving target as the industry's seen with inflation, cost inflation on the operating and CapEx side. But even when we factor what we see as the increased cost today into the mix, we're still looking at $40 to $50 million in free net cash flow after tax at current gold prices.
At current gold prices, without an expansion of the mine plan, and with these resources that you have. Any issues that you see in getting some of that ultra high grade material in? Will you have to down blend it all for the current plant design?
So our Bayan Khundii mine head grade was 3.7 grams per ton.
So you're already optimized for.
Well, we are looking at pulling some of that grade forward and pulling in the Dark Horse material as well, where we have 10-gram material sitting at surface, which will allow us to push this up into say 4.5 or the high 4s grade head grade, which will allow us to push up into that 75 to 80,000 ounces a year without tweaking the plant parameters too much. So that's the plan at this point. You can't really push too much higher than that in terms of grade because the plant's designed for a certain carbon loading, which doesn't allow you to start to lose gold at some point. But for now, sort of mid 4s is a head grade we're aiming for.
Well, wonderful for an open pit. What's the next catalyst that we should be looking for?
So earlier this week, we announced the high-grade feeder intersection at Ulan. We have holes pending on that, which we had alluded to in the press release with visible gold at depth. So those will be coming out in the next few weeks and start to get our arms around what looks to be an extremely high-grade feeder coming into Ulan. Following that, it'll just be a continuation of drill results as we move through the summer months into the fall, followed by a resource estimate. And along the way, we'll be reporting on the progress on the pre-development work as well.
Well, thank you, Peter. I'm very happy to see these kinds of drill results coming out as a shareholder myself. I would encourage everyone to take a hard look at Erdene because some of these drill results are really absolutely stunning and they deserve your attention. And again, we're in a market situation where a lot of companies are undervalued. I think Erdene obviously fits into that category.